Happy Saturday, everybody. I am Erin Glenn. You're watching The Aimless Squirrel, and today we are going to do sentimental thrift flips. So I had a few things that they were sentimental and important to me, and kind of been messed up various different issues, and I'll go over that in the video. And I just wanted to salvage them, so that is what I'm doing in this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so our first sentimental thrift flip for the day is these silhouettes. My husband's aunt made these of the girls when they were pretty little, and I think they were a Christmas or birthday gift for him. And the cardstock has faded, and one of the frames broke. So I decided I have some other frames from thrift stores, and a few other things. I can work with this. We can fix it. So I kept the silhouettes, and I'm just using materials from other places and redoing the pictures. So these were the frames. They were originally home interior, and they did have very pretty like landscapey house type images. And I did think they're really pretty. So I'm not destroying those. If I ever decide I want to use those again later, then I can. I also have some of this faux pressed tin from the Dollar Tree that I'm going to use. So just really quickly before we move on, if this type of content interests you, thrift flips, DIYs, home organization, home decor, etc., then if you would go ahead and subscribe, like, do all the things, it really helps out my channel. And if you could share it with a friend, that's even better. All right, so moving right along. So I took the pictures apart, and they were just held on by screws. So these were very easy to take apart and not really do any kind of damage to the original pictures. So then I did need to clean them up before I painted them. Now, it was a lot of going back and forth with a few different people on what color I wanted to do, but I ended up deciding on black and white. So the pressed tin has this sticky stuff on the back, and I'm just taking that part completely off because I don't need it at all. It's going to come off anyway because it's only attached around the edges. So then I took that back piece and just traced around on my faux tin and cut that. And this time, I was a little wiser because I had already done one of them at this point to make sure everything was working right and going to look right. And so this time I kind of tested it to see that it would fit, because when I did the other one, I got it all painted and everything first. It was looking all nice. And then I cut it too big somehow. I guess I cut outside the line that I had drawn. And so I just kept having to go back and trim off a little more and a little more. So I checked it this time before I did any painting or anything. So I'm using Waverly chalk paint in white. And y'all, this stuff is so thick now. I think it's like near the end of its life. So I need to hurry up and use that bottle. So I swipe a big old glop of it on, and then I kind of press it into all the little nooks and crannies. This is after one coat, and so it definitely needed two. So this is after the second coat. There were still a couple of places where some of the paint kind of came up. You can see a little of that grayish, silverish color underneath, but it didn't really bother me. So it's fine. Now, this is my oldest, Katie. This is her silhouette. It got, I guess as I laid it out, I've been crafting in the kitchen lately because my craft room's a mess, and I guess it got grease on it from us cooking, which is fine. Didn't panic. I mean, it was faded on one side, and the other side wasn't really all that dark anyway, so I'm going to take care of that in a minute. So kind of same thing with this, with the design on the edges. I just kind of really dug into those nooks and crannies with my brush to make sure I painted everything. And I do paint the silhouette. Yes, it does make it curl up, but after it was dry, I just set something kind of heavy on top of it, and it was fine. And it's going to be pressed in the frame anyway, so not really a problem. So I did go over it just with one coat, and yeah, I probably should have been more careful, but it's okay. It's okay. So this is just one coat of the black. And I did decide after I did the first one to leave it like that. Because to me, this has kind of like an oil rubbed bronze kind of look over that brassy kind of finish that it did have. You know, a little bit of it shows through, and it just, to me, it just looked so, so pretty. So, got to clean off the glass. I probably should have done a better job, but that's all right. So, one side is significantly darker and more black than the other. So that's obviously the side that went out. And see the back of that? Like, I actually consider just using that, like not even painting it, but I decided I didn't want it shiny, so I didn't do that. So, y'all, these screws. Okay. I had already lost one when I took apart the first one. And I took apart the second one, and I had them all, so I had 7 instead of the 8 that I should have had. Had them all sitting somewhere, and, I got one frame put together, and I don't know what I did with the other screws, so right now, until I find the other screws, each of them just has 2 screws in it. And so it's really not as tight as it should be. So if I can't find the other ones, I'm going to have to go take it apart and tape the silhouette to that pressed tin because it does slide around in there. It's not tight enough. But here they are, all done. They're so pretty. I think they are just so sweet. And, I was able to keep something that a family member had made, even though the frames had broken. Now, I could have put them in a scrapbook or something as well, but this way I get to display them for everyone to see. And again, I just think they're just so pretty and so sweet. Okay, so Sentimental Thrift Flip number 2 is that dome. So it was from my grandmother. She had something just like this one. This one I got at a thrift store. And I'll tell you the thought behind buying that one in a second. So the wooden piece was ruined, though. Like, there was absolutely positively no saving it. So I had to toss the wooden piece. So I kept the dome and just, I was like, eventually I'll find something to do with it. So I bought that other one that had the piece with it. It was the dome and the plate. And I was like, oh, well, I'll take the dome off of that one. I'll put Granny's on that thing. And then I was like, but that's dumb. I'll have this other dome that had nothing to do with it. So anyway, what I found, what I decided to do is I'll make a riser, and I found this neat looking wooden candlestick, and that wood round, the candlestick was from a thrift store, the wood round was from Hobby Lobby, and that is my son screaming in the background. Anyway, for the wood round to go on it smoothly, this metal piece had to come out, so I just pried it out with a screwdriver, a little tiny one, and painted it with that Waverly white chalk paint again. And I did sand it first. I probably should have sanded it a little bit more. I'm not sure. I think this was a stain or faux stain or something. I don't think it was just paint because it did kind of bleed through. I'll show you that in a little bit. So it did get 2 full coats all the way around. I don't know what's going on outside, but there's a lot of screaming. Anyway. And then I watered down some of the antiquing wax. Just put a little bit. I've seen Julie from Julie's Designs and Signs do it. And let's see, Create Your Own Cozy. I can't think of her name, but the channel is Create Your Own Cozy. I've seen them do it, and it's such a pretty color. So that is what I decided to do. And the antiquing wax, I just really like it. It doesn't stink like stain, which some of the stain doesn't. You can buy different kinds, but it dries really quickly, and it's better than just watering down paint because it just seems to, once it's all soaked in and dried in, it has a very smooth, even look. It's not, you can end up with some blotchiness when you do the watered down paint, or I've had that problem. There are some darker and lighter spots around the edges of this. It didn't bother me in this case because I was going to have to distress it, because you see that right there? That's not from me distressing it. That is bleed through. And it was only on that one area, just that one side. So I did have to go through and distress this whole thing. So I figured I'll I mean, you know, I want a distressed look for the wooden round too. So it works out. And it looks like bleed through. It doesn't look like distressing. So I'm probably just going to turn that around and that'll be the back. And there were a couple of areas that, that the stain just didn't take as well for whatever reason. But I do go ahead and distress it, and it does help a little bit. It didn't do a whole lot, but like I said, it's all supposed to look distressed and old anyway, so it works out. And so I could not find the things I can't find lately. I couldn't find a ruler, so I got creative with, or just did the best I could, I guess I should say, at getting it even. And then I drew lines and put the glue down on the wood round first. Whatever reason in my head, I thought that would be better. And then I glued the candlestick down to the top, the base, I don't know what you call these things. Anyway, I put my riser together, I guess. And I did put something heavy on it to let it dry. And y'all, that wood glue really does work really, really well. Highly recommend it. And you can see my face in there trying to make sure I get it right over the center as much as possible. The dome fits very, very well right over this. It just kind of slides over that top raised area, and that will prevent it from like sliding around too much. I love that wood tone with the white, and I've been incorporating more and more of it around my house. Right now, I just kind of put it with some other cake stand type things, and that's what's going on with that for the moment, but there it is. All right, these things, not exactly sentimental, although they do kind of have meaning because they remind me of family members, but I found this at the thrift store. These are over 100 years old, but one of them was just screaming to me that she belonged in my kitchen. So I put her in a Dollar Tree frame, and there she will sit. All right, guys. Well, that is it. I think they turned out very, very well, and I'm very excited that I am going to be able to continue to use those things because they were important to me. And just remember that, you know, there is always a way to salvage your stuff and to use it even if it may not be the way it was originally intended or the way you originally got it. If it's important to you, you can make it work in your home. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got something useful out of it. And just have a great day. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.